Good morning, everyone. Listen, I hope you're all doing really well. Huge thank you for all you new subscribers. I just really want to thank you, and of course, welcome to TalkCrypto. Welcome to joining me on my drive, and we can chew the fat for a moment while I run my little errands. Quick update on the $1 a day Bitcoin challenge. I got my I'm dollar cost averaging again for those of you new to the show. $1 every day and getting as many sats as I can. Today I got 1,970 sats, so I'll bank that and let's see what happens over the course of the next 10 years. A little couple of things. I'm just going to try and add a little bit of news into my little segments, so I hope you appreciate it. So I'm just sort of thinking about how I could do these one-take videos and try and just provide you guys with value and try and sort of do what I can for the space. It's probably a few days old, this bit of news. Some of you may have already heard of it. I did a video talking about Jack Dorsey and Block and how he's basically buying 10% of Block's gross profits are going to be used to purchase Bitcoin. And I was talking about how basically Bitcoin's becoming super scarce. We got major players, individuals, countries, corporations are buying as much Bitcoin as they can. Go and watch that video; it's worth watching. But what was interesting, about a day after that announcement, or that we heard about what Jack Dorsey was doing in terms of Block added to the balance sheet, like MicroStrategy are constantly buying. Was those news that came out that federal prosecutors in the United States were investigating Block for financial irregularities. I think it was related to Cash App and maybe Square. I've only skimmed the surface, so I'd encourage you to do your own research. I mean, geez, we're not a news channel, are we? So this is very rough and raw, and I hope you appreciate it. Like I said, it's chewing the fat while we're driving the car, and we can, talk crypto together. So that was quite interesting how that came out very soon after he made that announcement. Make that of what you will. So yes, just something to be aware of. There's a lot of danger in the space, unfortunately, whether you're a business, an organization, an individual investing, building in the space and what have you. So there's a lot of risk, and I did again a video a little while ago talking about some of the risks and what have you, where we've got to be careful, guys, because what's the old saying? They say at first they laugh at you, or they mock you, laugh at you, then they try and steal from you. There's a phrase along those lines. I've done that really a huge injustice, I'm sure, but the point is there's a life cycle that those doubters go through, or governments or whoever it is that they try and there's a life cycle that goes through from taking the mick, laughing, dismissing you, saying you're an irrelevance, to start to take notice, but then be worried and potentially, obviously, confiscating or going after the big players with the tools that the state have. Whether that's taxation, whether that's compliance, whether that's regulations that they want to introduce and making it harder. There's all these mechanisms that countries have, unfortunately, and I think we can't be naive to it. So that was a little bit of news. So I add it to my little segment as I'm driving. But what I wanted to talk about is patience, and I think this is a skill set that a lot of people lack. And I get it, and I've talked about it before. I have. But one of the viewers, hopefully maybe a subscriber, made a comment, and thank you for whoever that was for making that comment. I really appreciate whoever watches and whatever comments they make, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. And they said, well, you're saying it's scarce. There's only, there's a the supply on exchanges is is diminishing. But why isn't there any price action? And that's a fair point. It is a fair point. And listen, guys, I don't pretend to be the oracle. I don't pretend to have all of the answers. But, and also, I'm not Mystic Meg. So for those of you who don't know who Mystic Meg is, just Google Mystic Meg, okay? Because obviously I appreciate not everyone who watches these videos are in the UK. So, you know, I don't have a crystal ball. So, you know, I might be completely wrong and I'm just some guy just driving a car, giving my tuppence worth. But I've been in this space since 2020. That's quite a long time in this space. Obviously not as long as some people. And if you've managed to ride the wave from 2020 to now, you've got patience, and I applaud you. Inevitably, after the halving, there was going to be, and I said this, a period of sideways action, not much happening, boredom. I mean, what's Bitcoin? I think it took a little bit of a pump yesterday and then plateaued and it's come back down a little bit, but what is it, roughly 62 there or thereabouts. So it's not doing a lot, it's going sideways. But the reality is Bitcoin and every other crypto, you know, well, I mean, to be honest with you, everything rises off the back of Bitcoin, but Bitcoin just doesn't go up in a straight line. It has consolidation phases, it has drawdowns, and it has huge upswings. And I think, and it's so funny because, you know, when we get in these sort of sideways, and it's the same after, you know, about a year after a crash, when blood's on the street and everyone's crying, it then sort of just doesn't do much for about a year, 6 months. Probably 6 months to a year, because I remember, when was it, 2020, oh god, I'm going to forget the years now. What were we in, 24, 23, so 22, yeah, so 23 I think it was, 23. So basically, 2023, we actually, when you look at the Bitcoin chart, had a phenomenal year. I can't remember what the figure was, but I think it was like over 100% return on investment. But that didn't happen from January, and again, I'm going from memory, so again, these are one-take videos, so forgive me if I'm sliding from January to about October. Bitcoin was doing nothing. It was literally just going sideways. People get bored, thinking, is this the bottom? Is this the end of the pain? When is this going to end? So it literally did nothing after, you know, a big drawdown, and it was boring, and, you know, etc. The gains didn't come until October, November, December, towards the end of the year. So, you know, the 100% gain was right at the end of the year. And I think it's just, people don't often have perspective or patience or being able to just zoom out and just, you know, just have patience, guys. Bitcoin will do its thing when it's ready, and the likelihood is, I mean, we are in a bull run. And again, going back to this patience thing, sorry, just rewinding slightly, even looking at this year to think, oh yeah, we've, you know, I'm getting bored, things aren't really happening. Even looking at this year, we've gone up about 123% since the beginning of the year. I mean, in what world can you get 123% return on investment in a in a year, in the last year? It's bonkers. It's really weird, isn't it? When you actually step back and go, oh God, why isn't the price going up? And what's going on? And we're getting bored and it's just going sideways. Well, guys, I mean, you know, we're almost judging Bitcoin with different glasses to say, in any other world, in any other asset class, in any other reality, we would be going, wow, 5% return, 7% return, 10%. Wow, that's amazing. S&P, I'm in the S&P, on the FTSE 100, and I got 10%, 12% return, or whatever it is. It's laughable, isn't it? 123% in the last year. When you actually step back and go and look at it and zoom out, you go, actually, that's pretty good. Where else can I get that type of return on investment? And we haven't even got started in this bull run yet. That's what's bonkers. And I would hate for some of you to just get bored or expect some crazy return in a week, and just I don't know, make a bad decision, make a wrong move. Raoul Pal talks about it. Don't fuck this up. It's so easy. It's not rocket science. You just need a cool head. Focus on what your goal is. Get rid of the noise. Calm. Get rid of the distraction. Maybe just even stop watching these sorts of videos for a while. Just literally, you don't have to do anything for the next probably year. You can just literally go, okay, you know what? I'm just going to switch off, chill out. I don't have to worry about anything for the next year. My plan, just to share with you, because I think we all need to have a plan. I think it's important. So last cycle, I wrote it all up and wrote it all down. I took some bits of profits here and there, and maybe sort of tried different sort of projects. And I thought I'd try and be clever. And you get excited, and you this is all sort of new to you. And again, I've talked about this before. And you learn the lessons, you learn from your mistakes, you realize that actually how important Bitcoin is and how valuable it is. Sure, it might not go up as fast as some projects, but again, if you've got patience and you've got a long-term horizon, it'll do you very well, and it'll do you better than most things. But just to share with you, and again, everyone is different, and everyone has to have their own strategy. And if you don't, that's probably when you're going to make mistakes, because you're not sticking. You're having a scattergun approach to your strategy. You know, one day you wake up and you go, "Oh, I'm going to do this," and see something on a video and go, "Oh, I need to do that." Don't have a scattergun approach. I talk about that a lot in the marketing world. I'm in sort of marketing, and I work in tech. I used to be in financial services, and most small businesses have a real scattergun approach to marketing. There's no strategy, there's no plan, there's the execution is based on a whim, and it's just literally let's just I don't know what I'm doing, but let's just try this and try that, and be a magpie and chase after this, and somebody's doing that, let's try that. Complete chaos, and that's the same approach that many investors have. It's just chaotic. You just got to make a plan and go, right, okay, what is my plan? I mean, it could be as simple as I'm buying Bitcoin and I'm gonna literally buy it lump sum, dollar cost average, whatever it is, and I'm gonna hold it for 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. That could be a strategy. You'll do phenomenally. Another strategy might be something else. I'm going to be looking to take profits, get out some of the crap that I had from the last cycle. I'm probably going to be looking at right about September, October, November next year, 2025. I think the point is don't necessarily have an element of flexibility as well. And this is what my approach is. I'm going to be looking at, I've talked about prices and price potential, and how I have there's a potential theory that Bitcoin could hit over $1 million and all the rest of it. And who knows? Again, like I said, I'm not an oracle. I'm not You know, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. But so with that, I'm very mindful of, I don't know whether it's going to actually just be 100K. It might be just 100K, and that's still great profit. But it could be a million. And I think I'm just going to be very mindful of where we are in terms of price action, sentiment within the timing of the 4-year cycle. So I'm very much looking at a window where, okay, now I'm really tuned into where we are. And that window is probably going to be about a year after halving, a year to 18 months after the halving. So that window, I'm going to be very, very tuned in and thinking very carefully about what I'm doing when I'm pulling the trigger. Maybe, and again, I haven't decided yet, but again, probably going to be dollar cost averaging out, a little bit like I've been dollar cost averaging in. The dollar cost averaging challenge that I'm doing for the next 10 years, I'm not selling that. I'm literally dollar cost averaging, and that's just going to be something that I'm going to continue. So it's almost like I've got different pots. So one pot I'm never going to sell. I'm just dollar cost averaging, you know, for the next 10 years. And there's another pot that I'm of Bitcoin that I'm going to look to sell at hopefully around about the peak, and then buy back in when the market crashes. Because unfortunately, guys, I hate to say it, it will. I'm a believer of the 4-year cycle. I might be wrong. Okay, we might see a super cycle. We might see just crazy adoption that just doesn't stop. So there, you know, it's all about probabilities, and it's all about trying to weigh up what is the probability of different things happening. And that's what I'm talking about, is when that window opens, for me, it's just being, okay, what's happening? But either way, I think I'll be taking some, you know, some chips off the table for lifestyle and things like that. You know, there's a few things that I want to be doing, but ultimately, my plan is to accumulate more Bitcoin by selling, hopefully at the top, buy them later, take a year out when the market's crashing, there's blood on the street, and buy back in about a year later. So we're probably going to be looking at about 2026 to be buying back in. So that's my strategy. I'm not saying you do that. I'm just saying, you know, think about it. But to do that, it goes back to my point right at the beginning, it's patience. You know, it's not just going to happen overnight. It's patience. And equally, when I buy back in 2020, that's not even, you know, I'm looking at, you know, investing, you know, well, forever, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, and thinking about using Bitcoin as my main store of wealth, as my main money, and adopting that from a personal level. So for me, it's not even about, you know, how, you know, can I get more dollars? Can I get more pounds? It's actually about, okay, I want to get more Bitcoin, because I'm of the view that Bitcoin will create a deflationary world, because Bitcoin is eating every other asset class that's ever existed. Houses, the amount of Bitcoin you need to buy a house is getting less and less and less. And what will happen is you won't need to sell at some point. The value of your Bitcoin will be exponentially going up. And even when you do spend it, you just end up spending less and less and less and less, because everything's getting cheaper versus Bitcoin. And there's other strategies you can deploy as well. Mark Moss did a really interesting video, I recommend you watching actually, talking about the, again, sort of how you can live off Bitcoin by borrowing against it. But again, a very low LTV, that's a loan to value. So you borrow, so that, you know, so your loans, I don't know, 5% of the value of your asset. And not over leverage, because again, that's where people get caught out. They over leverage, they take too much risk. So I think a sensible approach would be borrowing, you know, maybe 1 to 5%, you know, the lower the better, really. But obviously you need a certain amount of Bitcoin to be able to, you know, make those lower thresholds work. Again, depends on your lifestyle, depends how much you need, etc., etc. So that's a really interesting perspective of how you can not yeah, basically avoids things like capital gains tax by not having to sell up as you borrow, and you're using borrowed money to fuel your spending. So that's quite interesting. So again, it's just important to have a strategy, but you need patience. Ultimately, the foundational layer is patience. Yes, we're in a sideways action. Yes, it's boring. Just have patience. It's not complicated, and you just got to tune out of the noise and just have focus on what your aims are, and don't make rash decisions. So thanks for the chap who did the comment. Really appreciate it. If you guys have got any questions, comments, or thoughts on what I've just said, I'd love to hear from you. It's really, I'm really enjoying engaging with you guys and talking to you guys. You know, I do these videos when I can in the car. I've just done the school run. I'm just about I just picked up some groceries, going to quickly drop those off, and I need to shoot to the office. So I do these videos in between things, and when I can. But listen, I'm going to love you and leave you. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe. Really appreciate it. And I'll hopefully be able to do another one for you guys tomorrow. And yeah, join me for another chat and drive, and we'll chew the fat about crypto, Bitcoin, and the world, I guess. All right, guys, take care. Cheers for now.